Hey, and welcome to another episode of Capital City Sports. I'm Jared Munch.
And I'm Taniqua Penix. Jared, the semester is winding down, but we still have a lot of sports to cover.
That's right, Taniqua. Let's see what we have up on this week's show.
The Gamecocks baseball team took on the Clemson Tigers Tuesday night at Carolina Stadium. We'll have all your coverage on that, plus
we'll take a look back over the weekend and watch the Gamecocks take on the number 4 Hogs from Arkansas.
And the number 17 Gamecock tennis team took on another group of Tigers, this time from LSU.
But first, the Gamecock baseball team has been struggling as of late.
Earlier this season, the Gamecocks beat the Tigers 3-1, but let's see how they do at home. We're going to send it over to the boys at the Carolina Stadium.
Coach Ray Tanner and Coach Jack Leggett shaking hands before the Battle of the Palmetto State. Clemson is getting fired up. USC is getting fired up because they hope to extend their winning streak to 6 games over the Tigers. Let's get into some action. Jay Brown on the mound, 2 outs, 1 on. Ben Paulson doubles to left, sending Jeff Schaus to third base, so runners are on second and third for Kyle Parker. He comes up to the plate, and he grounds the ball to second, and that's actually ruled a single. Both runs would score. Wingo said it should have been an error on the play, but it doesn't matter. Tigers up 2-0. Bottom of the first, Jackie Bradley hits the ball to shortstop. That ball also ruled a hit, could have been ruled an error. He goes to second on the play because he's pretty darn fast. That brings up Whit Merrifield. He singles to right, and just like I said, Bradley's pretty darn fast. He scores on the play quickly, making it 2-1 Tigers. And that's the last position the Clemson Tigers want to be in, is sending Mack to the plate with 1 on, and he makes them pay. Going deep to right, making the score 3-2. Cue up the sirens, baby. D'Angelo Mack, his hot bat has continued against the Tigers, and we're not done yet. A couple batters later, Parker Bangs comes up to the plate, and he's making Gamecock fans fatter by the thick burger. It's another Hardy's home run. That gives a fan a free thick burger, and Gamecocks go up 4-2. Now 2 on for Ben Paulson in the top of the third. He grounds out, but the run would score, making it 4-3. Kyle Parker comes up to the plate. He'll notch in his 3rd RBI of the day with this sacrifice fly right here. D'Angelo Mack gets under it, but his throw is not in time. We are tied at 4. Michael Roth on the pitch for Jay Brown. Walks the bases loaded. Up comes Paulson, and he also draws the walk. That's the RBI. The Tigers go up 5-4, but that's until the bottom of the 6th when Scott Wingo goes yard. Now look closely here. The ball hits the top of the yellow line, which is a home run, but the umpires only give him a ground rule double. He doesn't like it. Tanner doesn't like it. So Wingo, tell me what Tanner said.
Oh, he came out there raising a little cane. He got a little mad. But I think everybody digs it. I mean, it hit the metal bar, and that's a bomb. So.
Well, the umpires would collaborate, and Scott, let me tell you, they agree with you. It's a bomb. So, my friend, I get to say this to you. Cue up the sirens, baby. You are the tying run. We are tied at 5. But then we go to the top of the 7th. Brad Miller facing Michael Roth. Singles to right. That's going to do it for him. Curtis Johnson on the pitch, and then Miller steals second. Called safe on the play. And then Chris Epps comes on, and he reaches on an error by Nick Ebert. And then John Nestor, the catcher, comes up, and he singles off of Johnson's glove. So the Tigers go up 6-5. We go to the bottom of the 9th, though. Adam Matthews, the true freshman, on to pinch hit. Gets something to hit. Pulls the ball into left. The wild pitch to Ryan would send Matthews to second base. Can you feel a comeback coming? Ryan then would show bunt every pitch after that, and he'd draw the walk. Now Jackie Bradley Jr. would show bunt, another true freshman. He got it down, advancing the runners to second and third with 1 out. Now the Tigers walk Whit Merrifield to get to this dangerous man, D'Angelo Mack. He's already done the Tigers wrong in the 9th before. Can he do it again? On the 3rd pitch, Max finds one over the plate, and he hits it into right field. Baby, take us home, D-Mac.
I mean, he walked the bases loaded, so I figured, he's got to give me something to hit there. You can't, walk in the time and run, and he gave me a curveball out over the plate, and I took advantage of it.
Some fundamentally sound baseball in the 9th from Matthews and Bradley Jr., but ultimately it was the junior D'Angelo Mack who came through and continued his 9th inning heroics against the Tigers as the Gamecocks win 7-6. For Capital City Sports, I'm Justin Fabiano.
Well, you just saw Gamecocks take on their in-state rival, but earlier this weekend they faced the number 4 Arkansas Razorbacks. We're going to send it over to Jared Munch for all your SEC baseball coverage.
It's the 4th-ranked Arkansas Razorbacks, 8-1 in the SEC, taking on the Gamecocks, who are a game under 500 in the conference. Sam Dyson on the mound, and he's ringing them up early, hitting 96 on the radar gun. Bottom of the first, Whit Merrifield is going to single up the middle here. Then Nick Ebert's going to come to the plate and rip this one past the third baseman off his glove. And then you'll see Merrifield come into your picture here, sliding into third. A D'Angelo Mack fielder's choice would score Merrifield. Gamecocks take a 1-0 lead. Top 4, Corey Burkhardt, well, he paused 10 seconds for station identification and missed a Scott Lyons solo home run. But here's the proof as the Razorbacks tie it up 1-1. Still top 4, Ben Shepakow. He's going to single up the middle. A couple batters later, Jacob House is going to do the same, singling to right field, and that would score Shepakow, giving the Razorbacks a 2-1 lead. Top 6, House back up at the plate, and he's going to get another single here into right field. Jackie Bradley Jr. cleaning that one up. And then Brett Eibner is going to take one down the left field line for a double, as the Razorbacks are trying to put this one away early. Now, Zach Cox went 1 for 4 on the day, but he made this one count. As our own Justin Fabiano would say, cue up the sirens, baby. That one is gone by a long shot. That's a 3-run home run as the Razorbacks take a 6-1 lead. Now, bottom of the 6th, Ebert's going to get hit by the pitch. And then Andrew Crisp is going to step up to the plate and get himself a single in the left field. And then Parker Bangs is going to step up and do the same. And that is going to load him up. Ebert getting held up here at third base. And up next,
the catcher, Justin Dallas.
Justin Dallas, we are watching as you scream this one down the left field line, bounces off third base. Ebert will score on the play, making it 6-2. Bases still packed for Kyle Enders, and he's going to ground into the inning-ending fielder's choice. Now, bottom of the 7th, Whit Merrifield at the plate, and he is going to take this one yard, folks. That is a 2-run bomb. Gamecocks down 6-4, but that's the way it would stay. Arkansas Razorbacks would hang on to win 6-4 in Game 1. Jared Munch, Capital City Sports. Now for Game 2, let's go to Taniqua Penix.
Thanks, Jared. The Gamecocks were looking for revenge on Saturday's game, and they started strong with Nolan Belcher at the mound. The freshman pitched way beyond his years, showing no mercy on his opponents. Let's just count the strikes here. Strike 2, strike 3, strike 4, and that's strike 5. That's 5 strikeouts in just 3 innings. The game started at the mound, but the offense delivery was strong too. Nick Ebert blasted a 2-run homer in the first inning, putting the Gamecocks on the board 2-0. That would be his 10th homer of the season. His 11th was a solo shot in the 8th inning. Ebert finished 2-3 with 3 runs scored and 3 RBIs. Bobby Haney singled to right field, knocked Andrew Crisp home, and upped the score 3-0. The offense really explodes in the 5th inning. Adam Matthews sets it off with a single that allows Whit Merrifield to bring it in home. The score is now 5-0. Next, on a wild pitch, D'Angelo Mack slides his way in to steal home base. It's a close call, but he is safe. Belcher's no-hit bid was ended in the 6th inning by Lyons single to center. However, did not lose his cool. He continued his strikeout streak late in the game. Belcher played his best game, staying in for 8 innings and striking out a season high of 9 batters. As Belcher leaves the field, his teammates and the crowd show some appreciation.
Nolan Belcher.
Curtis Johnson finishes off the game. Carolina wins 9-1. I'm Taniqua Penix, Capital City Sports. For more on your USC baseball team, we're going to send it over to Corey Burkhardt in the boardroom.
All right, thank you,
Taniqua. Welcome into the boardroom here on Capital City Sports. I'm Corey Burkhardt, being joined by this guy. He's Brian Walker, former producer at Capital City Sports. B-Walk, how are you?
I'm doing okay. It's a little cold out today, but otherwise fine.
Yeah, very well. This well-dressed edition of the boardroom. I don't think we've ever had a better dressed edition yet.
We haven't. We probably won't in the future either.
We have this week's show. We have next week's show after the spring game, and we're out of here. So what do you got to say about graduation?
You know, it had to come sometime, I guess. Wish I could get a few more years out of it, but the money ran out for tuition.
Money has definitely run out. I'll tell you what, time, however, is not running out for that USC baseball team. Unfortunately, they dropped 2 of 3 to Arkansas over the weekend. Brian, talk about the weekend and what happened for the Gamecocks.
Well, you know, it was a tough weekend all around. They came out and they narrowly lost to a very good Arkansas team, a team that's leading the always strong SEC, on Friday night. Now, on Saturday, they came back with a vengeance. They got tons of hits, put up a bunch of runs, and beat one of Arkansas's better starters behind South Carolina starter Nolan Belcher that hasn't been that strong, and he pitched a gem of a game, going 8 1/3 innings, not giving up any runs, so good on him. Sunday, more of the same from Friday. They came out to a 4-0 lead in the first 2 innings, and then nothing after that. They chased Arkansas's starter without even giving up an out yet, and then the bats cooled off, and Arkansas settled down and came away with the win. So, tough series.
Offensively, what seems to be the problem with this team? Why can't they seem to get into some kind of hitting rhythm game after game against these SEC opponents?
You know, they're very young and too inconsistent right now. They're not experienced enough to know what they have to do when the pitcher is on his A game. And when Arkansas comes out with a good bullpen like they did after their starter was chased on Sunday, and they start settling down and they're working their breaking balls really well, mixing in some fastballs, the Carolina hitters are just too young to be able to recognize that, and they're just getting on top of the ball, sending a lot of them, you know, hitting them well, getting some I want to say wood on it, but metal in this case, sending it far out to the track, but just not putting it in the right spots that the situation calls for.
All right. It's hard to believe the season really is starting to wind down for this team. What do you see happening down the stretch? You
know, they still got most of the SEC East to play, and that's where the strength of the entire conference lies, with Florida, Georgia, who's number 4 right now. They need to pull out some series victories, but I just don't see it happening right now. This team is beat up in a bad way with the inexperience, and I don't think it's going to change until next season rolls around.
All right. We'll see how it goes. They are certainly enjoying things over at the new stadium. Our producer, Big Money D, is wrapping us up, so we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back later in the show, talk more about USC sports, as well as preview the spring game. We'll see you in a bit.
Still to come, the rubber match between the Gamecocks and Razorbacks. And we'll catch up with the men's tennis team later in the show as they host the LSU Tigers. All that and more, so stay tuned to Capital City Sports. Could Blake Cooper continue the Gamecocks' domination at the mound, or would the Razorbacks lineup bounce back with the bats? Waddy has all the details on this game.
Let's get right into things. Game 3 to decide the series. Jackie Bradley leading things off in the bottom of the first with a bloop single into left field. Whit Merrifield drawing the walk here. Nick Ebert would also follow the walk, loading the bases with nobody out. And pitcher Drew Smiley called for a balk, gives the Gamecocks the first run. And still with nobody out, runners on second and third, Parker Banks slices this one into the gap in right center. That would easily score both runs. Later on in the inning, D'Angelo Mack got an RBI single, giving the Gamecocks the 4-0 lead through the first inning. We move to the top of the fourth, where Arkansas gets on the board. The DH, Jacob House, goes yard, and the Arkansas Razorbacks would not be done in the inning. After a Brett Eibner walk, the third baseman, Zach Cox, gets into one deep into center field. Whit Merrifield's going to give it a shot, but he's not going to get it. That 2-run shot makes the score 4-3 in the fourth inning. Both teams fighting in this one. This ground ball up the middle, a beautiful play by Scott Wingo, throws it across the diamond. Nick Ebert getting run over here, but he'd be okay. In the top of the sixth with 2 runners on, Chase Levitt gets into this one to center field. That's over Whit Merrifield's head. 2 runs would score, giving the Razorbacks the 5-4 lead. And they would continue in the top of the seventh with 2 runners on and a 3-2 count. This one was a dagger. Zach Cox bloops it over the third baseman's head. The first run scores easily. A play at the plate for the second run. It would be good as well, giving Arkansas the 7-4 lead, and they would win at that score, taking the series. Head coach Ray Tanner talked after the game.
Double. So they battled back, came up with some clutch hits, and we weren't able to do anything after the first inning. I thought our pitchers battled hard. Did a good job for the most part the entire weekend pitching-wise, but we had trouble scoring runs ourselves. So got to give credit to Arkansas's pitching for shutting us down. You know, we're certainly not a great club. We battled hard, and you know, at times I think we're going to put it together pretty good, and then, you know, you have a setback.
Mike Wadsworth, Capital City Sports.
Well, there you have it. The Gamecocks dropped 2 of 3 games to Arkansas. We round out our baseball coverage by sending it back to the boys in the boardroom.
All right, welcome back into the boardroom. B-Walk, let's get back to USC baseball. Let's talk about the pitching side of the team right now. If you're Coach Ray Tanner, how worried are you either about your bullpen or your starting rotation?
Well, if I'm Tanner, I'm very concerned about the bullpen. That is by far the weakness of this pitching staff. They're young guys. They really can't be counted on to come in a close game situation against these good-hitting SEC teams and hold any kind of small lead that the Gamecocks may have as a result of what's a pretty good starting rotation. Obviously, Sam Dyson is the ace. That's why he starts on Fridays. But Nolan Belcher's starting to come around. They got a lot of guys they can rely on to really kind of get the Gamecocks out ahead, provided they're not on one of those rare off days anyway. But that bullpen, shaky at best right now.
Well, let's talk about Sam Dyson, some of these starters. When they seem to have a great performance on the mound, it seems like the offense doesn't back them up. Why is that?
You know, it's that inconsistency between the two sides of the team that you see in young, not very good ball clubs. I mean, this is a decent team, but it's not a great team, and Ray Tanner will be the first to tell you that. And on those teams, you will have a career outing from a starting pitcher and maybe some shutdown performance from the bullpen, and your offense just won't get it going, and vice versa. We saw at Kentucky a couple weeks ago. Gamecocks put up 20 runs. They needed until the very last out to put the game away because the bullpen couldn't hold it. It's the same both ways.
All right, real quick, we're going to leave baseball onto basketball for a second. It was announced earlier in the week Devin Downey is going to check things out in the NBA draft. What do you think about that?
I think it's a bad decision. Devin Downey is our height, and that's being kind. He's about 5'8", 5'8.5". Now, he's got way more skill with the rock than I will ever have, obviously. But there's only one guy in the NBA that's that height. His name's Nate Robinson. He plays for the New York Knicks, and he jumps about 40 feet in the air. Now, I've never seen Downey dunk a basketball. He's not going in the draft, all right? He's got all this height behind him, sure, but he's not Steph Curry. He doesn't possess all these skills. Too small. Stay here another year, Devin.
Fortunately, he has not yet hired an agent, which means he can back out at any time and still be eligible to play for the Gamecocks next season. We're going to take a quick break, come back later in the show. We're going to preview this weekend's spring game for the football team, so stick around. We'll see you in a bit.
A couple days before the weekend series against Arkansas, Ray Tanner's Gamecocks saw the upstate Furman Paladins come to Carolina Stadium in a midweek showdown. We'll go to Cameron Wildman Widerman for the highlight.
Carolina baseball taking on the Furman Paladins at Carolina Stadium. Jay Brown would get the start, and he would have himself a game, striking out 3 Paladins in the first 2 innings. He would go on to pitch 6.2 innings of scoreless ball with 5 Ks, allowing only 4 hits. The offense would also get started early. Andrew Crisp hits this liner down the line. That's going to go into the outfield. That's a double for him. He's going to get himself in scoring position for Justin Dallas. Dallas getting the start at catcher. He's going to hit this ball to deep left center field. Is it gone? No, this one is going to hit just below the top of the fence, but he will score Crisp on the play. That's an RBI for Dallas. Gamecocks go up 1-0 after 2. Bottom of the 3rd, Jackie Bradley steps up to the plate, and he's going to hit this one to deep left field. That one is out of here. Jackie Bradley having a great season so far. He went 2 for 5, had 2 runs scored on the day. We jump to the bottom of the 4th now, where Bobby Haney steps up to the plate. And he's going to knock in Parker Bangs with this single to right field. That's going to make it a 3-0 score. A balk here will score Wingo, making the score 4-0. Jay Brown continues his strong play on the mound. Final score in this one is 10-0 in favor of the Gamecocks. Cameron Widerman, Capital City Sports.
Coming up after the break, we'll go back into the boardroom one last time as Corey and Brian preview this weekend's spring game. But first, we'll take a look at the men's tennis team as they take on the LSU Tigers. As of late, the men's tennis team has certainly been making some racket. The 17th ranked Gamecocks saw the LSU Tigers come to the Sam Dennis Tennis Center on Sunday. Let's go to Justin Fabiano for more.
All right, well, the USC men's tennis team making a name for themselves, getting up to number 17 in the country, taking on the number 34 LSU Tigers. And just like any other sport, these guys got to get themselves up to play.
1, 2, 3, go, go!
All right, we're going to watch Diego Cubas and Ivan Machado take on Michael Venus and Neil Skupski. Gamecocks up 15-love early. Cubas serving. Venus hits it back to him, but Skupski's going to put it in the net. That's an unforced error. Gamecocks up 30-love right here. And Skupski again just hits it long, up 40-love. Here's the game point. We got a nice little volley, but eventually Michael Venus just hits it right into the net. Gamecocks up 1-0 early. All right, we go to the second game. LSU serving. We get a little bit of volley. Diego Cubas handling his game well, but then Skupski slams it and Cubas just quite cannot get to it, so we're tied at 1 apiece. Cubas and Machado talking things over. Machado serving now. It's tied 3-3. He faults right here, and then again, well, he's going to fault. So LSU goes up 4-3 in this match, and they're going to win the whole match 5-1. Gamecocks go down. Justin Fabiano, Capital City Sports.
Our show is winding down for the week, but we're going to send it over to the boardroom where Corey and Brian preview this weekend's spring football game.
All right, welcome back into the boardroom. B-Walk, let's get on to football. It is that time of year.
Yes.
Time for the spring game. What are your thoughts on going into the weekend?
Oh, I'm very excited to see what can happen. We've talked about it many times on this program before. A lot of new players coming in, looking to do a lot of good things. Steven Garcia is at the helm. More new coaches than new players pretty much right now, so it should be fun for all the Gamecock faithful out there.
Very good. We have several new assistant coaches, a bunch of new players who joined the team early, enrolled early in January. Talk about some of the new guys that you want to see in this game.
Stephon Gilmore, it starts and ends with him. He is, if you believe the hype, the new anointed savior of this Gamecocks football team. He played every position in high school. I mean, he's like a modern-day Savell Newton that runs faster, basically. They've been using him in practice so far a bunch at that spread option that Arkansas used to run with Darren McFadden. Apparently he can run it really well, so I think you put him in there with Garcia, let him kind of go up and make those plays he's known for. A lot of good trickery coming out of that offense.
All right, speaking of the offense, let's talk about the quarterback position. Always a hot topic, especially since Steve Spurrier has been the coach here at USC. What are you looking to see out of Steven Garcia and his backups this weekend?
Well, you know, we say Steven Garcia and his backups, but I think that's a little unfair for us to say that when Coach Spurrier probably doesn't even know if that's the case. I mean, that's just how it goes here. Right now, yeah, Garcia has the reins. Reed McCollum is right behind him. I want to see Garcia calling the plays, making the throws that he's expected to make. He was very indecisive, a little happy with the feet during gameplay last season. I think all the fans want to see a more settled down, more calm in the pocket, especially when protection breaks down, Steven Garcia, who can make plays when the go-to option isn't necessarily there.
All right, let's talk about the wide receiver position real quick. You lose Kenny McKinley, but I'll tell you what, a guy who stepped up at several points the last season, and they think he's going to be a great guy this year, is Mo Brown. Talk about him and what he could do for this receiving corps.
Well, Mo Brown really had a roller coaster season. I mean, he broke out against Georgia and then kind of fell off for a couple games, and he would continue to do that every few weeks or so. He is fast, he can make the catches, and with Kenny McKinley no longer there, he is the #1 option. There is no question, unless someone just comes in as a freshman and blows us all away, which I don't see happening in the SEC. Mo Brown has the potential to have a monster breakout season. The balls are going to be coming his way. People are going to be looking to him. It's up to him now to make something out of it and show us what we know he can do.
All right. On Saturday, we're going to do the boardroom after the spring game at Williams-Brice Stadium. When we're there, what question about that team do you want to have answered at the end of that game?
I'll tell you what I want to have answered. How is that O-line doing with this new coach? Coach Mangus came in, John Hunt obviously let go by Spurrier's staff, and that was a big shock to everybody, but a lot of fans thought it needed to happen. The players on the O-line, despite losing Sorensen, really like Coach Mangus and the approach he has taken. And if they can get settled down and really do some work, which we haven't seen in about 4 years out of the Gamecocks on that front line, give Garcia all the time he needs, could be special.
All right. get out and enjoy it this weekend out at Williams-Brice Stadium, the Garnet and Black spring game. That's going to do it for us. However, we will be back on Saturday to recap the spring game. We have a great final show for you next week as we wind down our 5th season of Capital City Sports. For Brian Walker and our director, Mark Driscoll, I'm Corey Burkhardt. Have a good weekend. We'll see you next week.
Well, that's going to do it for us this week on Capital City Sports. We only have one more show left in the semester, so be sure to tune in next week at 8.
If you can't catch us next Thursday or just want to watch part of the show, go onto our website at capitalcitysports.blip.tv.
Or log on to iTunes and search Capital City Sports and download us to your iPod. I'm Jared Munch.
And I'm Tameagle Penix. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.